Hey, what's going on, guys? It's FPL Yusuf here, and welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to be going over my final team selection ahead of the Game Week 30 deadline. We've got a lot to cover in this video. We'll start off with some key questions, in particular looking at some injury news that came out of the weekend's games in the FA Cup, which could potentially affect our Game Week 30 and beyond. We'll also look at some confirmed transfers which I have made, but also a potential minus has come in as well. I'll show you guys what my team's looking like before we get to Game Week 30, and we'll also go over some sort of clean sheet odds and some goal scoring odds right at the end as well. So I do hope you guys enjoy this video. If you do, please don't forget to drop a thumbs up and subscribe down below. But without further ado, let's just jump straight into this. Okay, welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for being here with me today on my YouTube channel for another video. So like I said in the intro, we're going to start off with just some key questions, and in particular, we're going to be looking at some injury news that came out of the weekend's game. So we'll start with Nottingham Forest first, and I've got Chris Wood and Morgan Gibbs-White on here. So we'll start with Chris Wood first, as we heard a little bit more news about him. It's not looking good. It doesn't look like he's going to be available for 30. And because there's such a short time between 30 and 31, I think it's fair to say that we could probably consider him being ruled out of that as well. Because obviously 30 starts on Tuesday, which is a midweek deadline. And obviously 31 is obviously the following weekend as well. So it's a little bit of a problem now. And I think I'm going to get onto this in my transfers in my next section, but I have personally already moved him out. I've gone early to try and beat a price drop, but also the player that I bought in was looking to rise as well. So for me, it made sense. I think if you've got Chris Wood, you may well have other options this week, as we're going to get onto. But I think for me, with the fact that Nottingham Forest haven't got any doubles now that they're out the FA Cup, there's probably other strikers that you're probably looking to bring in, either Isak, Mateta, maybe Marmoush now if you haven't got him. You know, we're going to get onto HAALAND in a second, but I just think there's other alternatives around Chris Wood that probably make it time to get rid of now. You know, Forest's fixtures, they're okay, they're nothing special, but I just think with players who've got upcoming doubles, I think that's probably the priority for trying to bring one of them in. With Morgan Gibbs-White, he's a bit of a different one. So he came off right at the very end of the game. It was literally like maybe a minute before they took penalties, which I thought was a bit surprising because he was probably someone that you'd say would step up to take one for Nottingham Forest. So we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, we've got press conferences happening today at the time of me recording this, which is Monday morning. So we'll have to wait and see what the news comes out about that is. I think that if I had to choose one between them, Chris Wood obviously is the bigger priority because there's other players you can move to with maybe a higher upside. But yeah, Morgan Gibbs-White, to round up the Forest news, is probably someone just to keep an eye on, and we'll just have to wait and see what is said in the press conferences. Now, on to another player which I think a lot of us probably own, at least a lot of the engaged managers will be owning, is HAALAND. Now, again, he did come off in his FA Cup game. Man City obviously do go through, which means they probably will have a double. It's looking like either going to be 33 or 34. We're not sure yet at the time of recording which game week that's going to fall in. The big thing with him is obviously he's so much money, and we don't really know how bad that injury is. So again, obviously they kick off first on Tuesday, so we'll definitely get news today on what HAALAND's situation is. But I think that if it is the fact that he's ruled out, I think Leicester was kind of like the last amazing fixture that you'd probably want to own him for and captain him. If not, then I just think that Mateta and Isak probably offer just a little bit more of an upside, and it's probably a transfer that I will be looking to make as well if he's ruled out of this game. So a lot of this sort of information is going to depend on what we hear in the press conferences, which, you know, most of the info will come today. Some will come tomorrow before the game week starts. But yeah, I think it's worth just saying that if you own HAALAND and, you know, he's not available for today, and you don't own one of Isak or Mateta, I think it's probably worth going for the upside of getting them in, as they have a double, and Mateta in particular, who's probably going to end up having two doubles, which could end up being back-to-back in 32 and 33. So yeah, so for me, when it comes to the injury guys, especially the forwards in Chris Wood and HAALAND, I think if the news comes out that they are going to be ruled out of this game week in 30, there's a high chance they're going to miss 31 as well because of the short turnaround. I just think it's worth to maybe get rid and bring in some of the guys who have got doubles coming up. Right, let's talk about some transfers that I have made. So I did speak about this in my transfer target video at the start of the week. I have made one, and it was based on the fact of Chris Wood's injury last night. So I have sold Chris Wood, and I have brought back in Alexander Isak. So I took him out for 1 week for Marmoush, which obviously in game week 29 did work out quite well for me. But the plan was to always bring him back. It wasn't to bring him back this week, if truth be told. It was to bring him back next week when they play Leicester. However, obviously with Chris Wood's injury, the fact that he's probably going to miss 30 and 31, it just made sense to me to go and get him now. So that is my one confirmed transfer that I have made. I am looking at taking a -4. Very slim chance of a -8. I don't think that will happen, but there is a possibility. So the -4 is obviously going to be if we hear no news about HAALAND. So at the time of this recording, like I said, Man City haven't had their press conference yet, so we don't know how bad his injury is. But if he is out of 30, there's a high chance he's going to be out of 31. And for me, I just look at Isak and Mateta as like the priority. So if he is confirmed to be ruled out, I've got Marmoush to cover the Man City attack, but it will be a straight swap to Mateta. Obviously, Mateta's got a double in 32. It's very, very likely that he's going to have one in 33 as well. despite the fixtures not being great for that, I still will own him anyway because Palace, they are a good team and they do play well. So that is the -4 that I'm potentially looking at. The other minus that I was looking at this week, and again, this it sort of depends on what happens with Erling Haaland, because if Haaland's fit to play 30, then the -4 will be towards Dango. Now, Dango is someone that, I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, just hasn't worked out for whatever reason. And I think it's time to move him on. And for me, the obvious choice here is Jacob Murphy. Now, Newcastle, again, I wasn't looking to really target them this week. It was more to target them from 31 when they play Leicester and then go into their double. However, things have changed. Obviously, injuries have happened, which has kind of forced my hand a little bit. So for me, if Haaland is fit, then the -4 will definitely be looking at moving Dango to Jacob Murphy. Jordan Pickford was someone that I was going to move out this week. I think just because of the outfield injuries, these sort of transfers ahead of him kind of prioritize that. I think long term, the goalkeeper for me will be either Pope or Dean Henderson. Probably looking more towards Dean Henderson now because of the possibility of having two doubles. But that's something we're going to address sort of, 31, maybe even the start of 32 before we get to that. So yeah, like I said, just to recap this, one confirmed transfer. Chris Wood has moved to Alexander Isak. There is a -4, which is I'm pretty sure is going to happen. Either if Haaland's ruled out, I'll move him to Mateta. If Haaland's fit, then I might just leave him and just move Dango down to Jacob Murphy. Okay, so now we're going to just jump into some clean sheet and some predicted goal odds. So just before we get into this screenshot that you guys are seeing on screen is provided by Rob T FPL. I'll leave a link to his Twitter account down below in the description. Please go drop him a follow because he does this every week. It's all free, and the info that you get on there is really helpful in terms of like making decisions. So we'll start off with the teams first and the attacking side of things. And Man City lead us with the most goals predicted scored. So they're currently up about predicted at around 3 goals in this game. Now, I don't know if that's with Erling Haaland there. Obviously if Haaland's not playing, does that number drop by a little bit? I think that sort of pushes us towards looking at someone like Omar Marmoush. Now, for those of you who don't own him, I think he's going to be pretty much an easy bring in this week for the likes of Chris Wood, and if Erling Haaland does come out injured. So those of you guys who are wild carding, maybe you've got a couple of free transfer staves up as well and looking just to bring in like a 1 week punt, I definitely think that I definitely think there's a high ceiling there with him. Is he a captaincy shout? Maybe. If you're chasing and you're looking for a little bit of a differential and Haaland's not playing, could he be on penalties? Potentially. But I think the thing is that if Haaland's not playing, he's probably going to pretty much guarantee himself 90 minutes, which I think when you're playing against Leicester and obviously Man City predicted the most goals, he's a player that could definitely have a high ceiling in this sort of match. So just one to look out for. I think obviously it all depends on what happens with Erling Haaland, but definitely Man City leading the way with the most goals, and Marmoush currently the most transferred in player as well. I think with good reason to have that. Just some other notable teams who are predicted to score above 2 goals. Newcastle, one of them. We've spoken about Alexander Isak and Jacob Murphy, both fine options to bring in this week if you've got the transfers. Bournemouth, another one who are currently predicted 2.5, nearly 2.5 goals. If you're in the likes of Justin Kluivert, Semenyo, if you're an Evan Nilsson owner, all of these are good picks to bring in, especially if you're wildcarding as well. I think if I was on a wildcard this week, Newcastle would be someone that I'm looking to target. Obviously, they've got a great, predicted goals this game week, but I think, the likes of Jacob Murphy and Alexander Isak in particular are the ones that I'd really be going for with a double upcoming. Bournemouth, they've got a decent run of fixtures. I think Evan Nilsson's a very good cheap option, and even though maybe you don't need money particularly at this current stage, I definitely think at some point between now and the end of the season, finances always become a problem in FPL. So if you can free up a striker spot with someone who's around that value, who's got good predicted goals, especially this week in particular, I don't mind it. I don't think it's actually a bad decision, to be honest. Just some other notable options who are around the sort of 2 goal threshold. Arsenal, obviously, we've had news that Bukayo Saka is back now for Arsenal, which if Erling Haaland is now out injured, maybe that money then frees up to bring Bukayo Saka in. If you're still a Cole Palmer owner, that's an easy switch to move to Saka. I don't think he'll start straight away. Obviously, he's just come back from having a couple of months out, so he's going to need time to get up to match fitness to get back to what he was. But I definitely think with Arsenal's coming fixture run, with also a double looking likely in the future as well, I think there's definitely worse options you could go for in the midfield. And obviously Crystal Palace again sort of pushing around that sort of 2 goals in this game week, especially against Southampton, arguably the worst team in the league. Mateta is obviously the standout. Maybe there's choices for like Eze, Munoz if you're looking for a cheaper defender who has high upside for attacking threat. But I think Mateta is the one that I think a lot of people will be looking for, especially if you're on a wild card this week. And for the clean sheet odds, no surprise, Arsenal are leading the way with a 50% mark. I personally own Yuri and Tim, but I think people out there will still have Gabriel, or some might have Saliba. David Raya is another one. So I think if you've got them, hold them. If you're a wild card, definitely bring in an Arsenal defender. I personally would go with Timber just because he's a little bit cheaper. Has a little bit of upside. Obviously, Gabriel threat from set pieces, but Arsenal are predicted to have a double coming up as well. So I think that definitely helps their favour. Liverpool, again, same thing. Good clean sheet odds if you own Konate, if you own Van Dijk, Alisson. Obviously, Trent being ruled out now he's probably going to miss this week, 31, and maybe a little bit longer. So if you've got him, maybe you want to look to switch him out to, another Liverpool defender. Man City obviously high up there on the clean sheets if you've got Gavardio, and Bournemouth the other one for those of you who own Kirkes, Dean Huijsen, maybe some of you got an outside shout at Kepa. Again, another good hold for this coming game week. Okay, let me just quickly run through what my team's looking like for this game week. So we'll start off in goal. Jordan Pickford. Now, he was, before, we got to game week 29, my plan was this game week to transfer him out. Obviously, with the injuries, my transfers have got to be used elsewhere. It's not the best fixture in the world against Liverpool, but it's also not one that I'm actually mad about playing him in. So he's fine for now. We've got a defence consisting of Milenkovic. Again, Forest, decent-ish fixture, not the best, not the worst. I don't mind having him in there. Man United can be quite a hit-and-miss team, and obviously he's shown from last game week in particular that he obviously does offer attacking threat as well. Jurrien Timber at home to Fulham. Again, Arsenal leading the way for clean sheet odds, so I'm more than happy to own him there. He does have a small chance of an upside for assist as well. Dean Huijsen definitely going to be in there, obviously, with his fixture. Bournemouth predicted one of the highest scorers this week, also one of the highest with the odds of clean sheet as well. So, yep, happy with the back three. The 4 across midfield that I've got currently at the time of recording is Justin Kluivert starting. Obviously, he's on penalties for Bournemouth. He's just been fantastic for this, for the last sort of 6, 7, 8 game weeks. So he's not going anywhere. Mo Salah. Now, this is the big one. If Haaland's not playing, does Salah now become the number 2 option for a captaincy? Maybe. I think that it's going to be between him and Marmoush if Haaland's not there. So just one to consider. Brighton and Bournemouth up against Newcastle. It's not the easiest fixture in the world, but obviously with Lewis Hall going down injured, maybe that gives Bournemouth a little bit more freedom on the right-hand side to play kind of his way. Morgan Gibbs-White is flagged at the moment. Now, I do have one good playing sub that I would feel comfortable using. That's Ray and Aït-Nouri. So obviously on screen, you can see I've got 2 yellow flags with Haaland and Gibbs-White. I will have another playing midfielder, obviously, because if Haaland's fit, then I'm going to get rid of Dango. If Haaland's injured, then Haaland will come out. So I will have a playing player in there. And then the last option will, if that Gibbs-White doesn't play, then Aït-Nouri will just drop in for him. And the front three, our new signing, Alexander Isak. Obviously, he was only gone for 1 week, but obviously he's going to be straight in there. Marmoush, again, same thing, with a serious consideration as a captaincy this week for me. Now, me personally, I am obviously chasing rank, so I need differentials. Now, obviously, I know Mo Salah's got a great fixture. Liverpool are one of the highest teams predicted to score goals, and Salah's just been phenomenal this season. However, I just think that Man City really could put goals past this Leicester side, and I think if Haaland's not going to be there, Marmoush for me up front will just be that next best option. And finally, obviously, like I said, if Haaland is fit, then he will be there and he'll be captaincy. If he's not there and he's going to be ruled out for 30, potentially game week 31, I think the transfer from -4 will just be to bring in Jean-Philippe Mateta up front, playing against Southampton, which, will complete a very strong front three. But captaincy is between Marmoush and Salah. But I am actually favouring Marmoush just for the differential aspect this game week. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please don't forget to drop a thumbs up and subscribe down below. We're so close to 100 subscribers now. I think we're about 2 away. So if you guys are watching this video for the first time, you like the content, you like what the sort of information I'm trying to bring to you guys, please feel free to drop a subscription down below. It really would be greatly appreciated. I hope you guys have a great game week. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comments down below, or you can follow my Twitter. I'll leave a link to it in the description as well. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys next time.